This English writing presentation is suitable for both level 1 and level 2 learners. In it, we're going to show you how to create documents that come under both formal and informal contexts. The aims of the session will take you through features of formal and informal documents, language and how to construct such documents, and then we will be completing a couple of tasks where you'll need to create a formal and informal document, which you will then email to me, David Pascoe, at my email address, davidp@privista.co.uk. So examples of formal documents, they can include things like letters, say from your employer, local authorities, local council, etc., or the police. Reports, and that can cover both news reports and organisational reports commissioned by businesses. Legal documents, such as wills and codes of conduct and behaviour. And professional documents, so things like invoices, reports, and the minutes of meetings. The tone of formal documents, they are generally professional and impersonal. They are direct, they often get to the point as quickly as possible. They may be specific in the language that they use, particularly if it's a text written for people who work in a particular industry, and they deal primarily in facts and information. A few examples of formal language that you might see if you were asked to create a formal document within an exam context. In terms of how you greet the person reading the document, you may open up with "to whom it may concern" or "dear sir stroke madam" if you don't have a name for the person that you're writing to. Formal documents tend to use the title when with their opening salutation, so things like "Dear Mr. Hammond," "Dear Mrs. Begum," etc. In terms of how to start a formal document, a couple of general phrases here which are quite useful to use. So things like "I'm writing in regards to," and then you can express what it is that you're writing about. "I read your article on the proposed new car park and felt I had to write to express my concern or my disappointment. I wish to express my disappointment over." It's a good way to start if you're writing a letter of complaint. And alternatively, "I wanted to congratulate you on," is a good way to start if you're writing a letter of congratulations. When you get into the main points of a formal document, this is where you're laying out the main information and the main reason behind why you're writing. "I visited your store on the 28th of May and bought," whatever the product is, which could be useful if you're writing a letter of complaint. "I really appreciated the help you gave me with this problem," is a good way of being able to pass on a compliment. "We would like to make a booking for 4 people and have the following questions." So perhaps you're in a situation where you're trying to buy something and there's certain things that you want to know about, so you express what your intentions are and then set up the questions that you want to ask. And in terms of how to conclude such a document, you could use phrases like "I look forward to hearing from you," "I hope that we can reach some kind of understanding," and "I think this will be an exciting opportunity for us both," which is a good way if you're looking to end on a positive, optimistic note. Informal text can include text messages, emails, and letters, especially if we're writing to people that we know well. Advertising, so billboards and print and online adverts, for example, and stories and reports, such as opinion pieces and reviews in magazines and articles and news and websites. The tone of informal documents, they're quite chatty and conversational. They're a lot more personal in how they address the reader. They're much warmer towards the reader than a formal document might be. They can be opinionated. A sense of the writer's personality comes through, and we get a sense in informal documents about their point of view on things. And they're written in a way that may expect the reader to do something as a result of what is in them. So again, some examples of informal language. This is particularly pertinent if you're writing a letter or an email in an exam situation to a family member or a close friend. "Hi, hey, how are you," etc. In terms of opening the informal documents, again, if you're writing to family and friends, "It was great to see you last week." If you wanted to pass on good wishes to somebody, "I just wanted to say thanks for all your help." And then this one, I've got the figures ready from the first business quarter, and they're encouraging reading. Now that's a professional relationship in that context, but it could be that you're writing to a colleague on a team that you work with. So you may be a little more informal in terms of how you're writing to them. Again, some further general examples which can cover the main points of an informal document. I'm not happy with how far behind schedule we are. Your donations are making a difference to people's lives, which is quite a good one in the context of writing on behalf, say, of a charity and trying to appeal directly to the reader and emphasize to them how invaluable their contributions have been. We predict that we'll be ready to make a start in July once we have all the information that we need. And again, to conclude an informal document, again, you can use phrases such as "I look forward to hearing from you," "Let me know what you think," and "See you soon," etc. We're going to look at how to construct some of these documents and some of the things which you'll need to include when you put them together, because the language that you use in a formal or informal document may depend on the situation that you're writing to somebody over, but there are certain things in terms of how the document is put together that should be included. If you're having to do a formal letter as part of the exam, you must include the address that you're writing from. You don't need to include your name in that, and in an exam context, obviously, just make up an address. Don't use your real address for that. The date that you're writing the letter, and the address that you're writing to. It's likely in an exam situation that you will be shown the address that you would be writing the letter to, and that must be included in your formal letter. Your salutation, how you start it, would be "Dear." If you've been given a name, you would include it. But if you haven't been given a name of the person you're writing to, you may use "Dear Sir / Madam" if you don't have a name. You could go with "Dear Mr. Smith" or "Dear John," depending on the context, but don't write "Dear John Smith" when you write the salutation. You then have the content of your letter, however many paragraphs you were using, and then your sign off at the end. You would use "Yours sincerely" if you have a name for the person that you're writing to, and "Yours faithfully" if you've had to use "Dear Sir / Madam." This is just an example of a formal letter layout. We have the address that I'm writing from up here. This is my old work address. The date in which I've written the letter. The address I'm writing to. I've gone with "Dear Lisa" here, so I've used a person's name. And then once I've written the content, I would sign off with "Yours sincerely" and then my name. If in an exam situation you're having to construct a formal document and it's in an email setting, you must include the email address for the person that you're writing to and a subject heading. Don't leave the subject heading blank. And if you're given the email address of the person that you're having to write to for the exam, you must include that in the "To" box. In terms of the content that there should be in a formal letter or an email, ideally, and again this is with a view towards the writing exams, the ideal length for a formal letter or email is about 3 or 4 paragraphs. Your first paragraph should outline your reason for writing, and your second paragraph should outline something relating either to you or to the person you're writing to. So it could be something that you or somebody else did, something that happened, whether that was good, bad, or unexpected, and maybe about how you felt about what happened. Did you have positive or negative feelings about it? Are you concerned by it? Are you interested to know more? The final paragraph should outline either future action that you will take or want to see taken if something is not fixed, a final sense of your feelings on the subject. So that could be, I really have been disappointed by the service I've received here, and I hope that you can see fit to making it better. Or, again, I look forward to working with you and using your company in future, just as examples. and just expressing thanks or concern before you go into the yours sincerely or yours faithfully. There's a wide range of subjects that could be covered when writing these documents in the exams. They may cover a number of different areas, from letters of complaint, putting in a request to buy something, writing a letter of thanks. It could cover any number of things. But if you think about your planning it in this way, you've got a structure that you can follow, and you can work that through in the exam. So here's just an example of how those points could be got across. So this has been based on an old exam paper from a previous awarding body, in which you're asked to write a letter of complaint because you were due to take a flight and the flight was delayed. You may find when you're doing these exams, you'll get given what are called supporting documents that you can use as part of what you're writing about, and these could be these could be quite light on information, but they may be relevant to what you're writing about. I'll take you through this letter and then I'll just explain that a little further. So in terms of putting the letter together, I didn't have a name for the person I had to write to, so I went with "to whom it may concern." You could use "Dear Sir / Madam" as well. So the first paragraph here outlines the scenario. I was booked to take a flight with your airline on the 21st of February from Heathrow to Rome. Then I move into the next paragraph where I outline the problems and the reason why I'm writing. The flight was due to depart at 2 p.m. We were called for boarding at 1:20 and then made to wait without any staff checking our boarding passes. We started to realise something was wrong when 2 p.m. passed and we still had not gotten onto the plane. We were still at the boarding gate at 2:45 when an announcement came over the tannoy that the flight was delayed. This announcement came from Heathrow Flight Control. At no point had any staff from your airline shown up, so no one had a clue what was happening. Then we get to this section here, which outlines why I feel the company were at fault. Finally, at 4 p.m, someone came to open up the desk, but passes were not checked until 4:30 p.m. The stewardess on the desk had no explanation for why the delay had taken place. According to her, she wasn't even supposed to be on the flight. And then I'm coming towards the conclusion of the letter, in which I outline what I would like to see done. We finally took off at 5:30 p.m. after a long and uninformed wait. I would like to claim compensation, as according to FAA guidelines, any flight which is delayed for longer than 3 hours should result in 50% compensation being paid back to the passenger. Then there's just a final way of rounding the letter off. I look forward to hearing from you, and then I use "yours faithfully," and I would put my name in after that as well. So that's how to construct a formal letter using those steps that were described before. First paragraph sets up the scenario. Second paragraph outlines why you're writing. Fourth paragraph, as you see, because I've done that over 2 paragraphs, second and third paragraph for the reasons for writing. Fourth paragraph outlines, what my concern is and why, I felt the company were at fault. And then my final paragraph takes in the action that I want to see done. So it follows a logical order and is topped and tailed with appropriate salutations and sign-offs. Just going back to what I was saying about supporting documents in the exams, this bit here about the compensation according to FAA guidelines, one of the supporting documents that I saw in an exam was a document, or just a short piece of writing by the FAA saying that flight delays, you're entitled up to 25% of your money back if your delay is anywhere between 1 and 3 hours, and 50% compensation if the delay is over 3 hours. And that's all it said, but it was just a case of seeing that there and thinking, okay, I can reference that when I write the letter, because the task wanted me to write a letter of complaint and explain what I wanted done about it. So in terms of informal content, which is close to what you write every day in emails to friends and family and text, Regardless of the situation, whether you're writing to make suggestions for going out or you're writing to admonish them for something, if you're expected in the exam to write an email to a friend or family member, you must include an email address, a subject heading. You must provide a greeting as well. So, even if it is pretending to write to somebody in your family, you must go hi or whoever, and also sign off at the end appropriately with an informal document. So you could use love from yourself, or again, you can also use best wishes and all the best as ways to sign off. You don't have to necessarily in an informal document use yours sincerely or yours faithfully, but again, just look at who it is you're writing to. If it's an informal document but it's not to family or friends, then you're probably better to go with best wishes or all the best. So here are a couple of tasks for you to work on and send through when you have the chance to complete it. I'd like you to please write one formal and one informal document, and you can use any of these scenarios to help you. For your informal document, I'd like you to do an email to a relation, inviting them to a party at your house. Make sure that you include the date and time that the party is taking place and a request for them to bring food or drink. Or you can send an email to a friend suggesting where to spend the night out. Suggest some potential dates to meet up and offer them 2 or 3 choices of where to go for the evening. Then in the formal context, I'd like you to choose one of these 2 scenarios. You only have to choose one scenario for each one. So make a choice out of either of these 2 formal scenarios. Write a letter to the local council requesting permission to cut down hedges which are blocking light from getting into your back garden. The address to write to is Rural Permissions Department, PDC, Bromden House, 1 Shepherd Street, BT7 7GH. Or you could do this one instead. One of your relatives recently celebrated a major birthday with a dinner party at a hotel. Write a formal email to Samantha Hogg of the Marriott Hotel, thanking her and her team for the way they looked after your party. Think about what touches the hotel may have gone to make the event extra special for your relative and their party. Samantha's email address is samhogg@marriotthotels.co.uk. Now, just to say about this, I've put in all kinds of suggestions of things which I'd like you to include in the documents. Just be aware when you're going into the exam setting, they will just give you the scenario. They will not necessarily make suggestions or ideas of what you would need to include. So this is just helping to cover a few different scenarios, and I hope that it proves helpful in terms of some suggested ideas. And then please email your completed work to davidp@provesta.co.uk, or you can upload it to Apton.